Here we go.
To chat.
Hold on. Hey, Skip Clark here, and welcome to the Skip Happens podcast, hosted by yours truly, along with my friend Deb Lamphere, the president and founder of the official country music fan club, long-form, open dialogue podcast, digging into the stories of a wide variety of guests. Much of that include your favorite music artist, entertainment, and sports personalities.
I'm listening.
This podcast is heard on most podcast platforms. We're live on Facebook, and subscribe to Skip Happens on YouTube. Comments always welcome. Remember, Skip happens, and it does. And we're back again tonight, everybody. How are you? It is, of course, Skip Clark and my friend Deb Lamphere, and another fun night. We had a great time last night. We had Jeff Bates on, and tonight, just as good. It's going to be awesome. I've been listening to her music. I'm like just blown away. I want y'all to say hello to my new friend, Jenny Tolman. Jenny, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. We always kick this off. One of the first questions I ask is, where are you? And describe your surroundings.
I am at my home in Nashville, Tennessee. I am actually in my kitchen. We have a non-working chimney in our kitchen, believe it or not. So this is kind of my nice little background area. We've got a little bit of leftover Christmas decorations, and but you know, like my song "High Class White Trash." I gotta live the life.
You know, you're not the only one. Look behind Deb.
I was gonna say, can you see? Let's see. We still have the wreath up, and so my husband loves it, so he'll keep it up as long as he can get away with it.
Hey, my mom leaves her Christmas tree up all year long.
Really?
She has no shame. Every year that comes around and people are like, I'm putting my Christmas tree up, she goes, oh, mine's already up.
I love it. That makes for another great country song right up your alley. I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about Jenny Tolman.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Nashville. So I've been here forever. I always make a really bad dad joke, if you want to call it that, because there's a hospital, the hospital I was born at, just down the road. I always say, yeah, I was born just down the road. I haven't made it that far.
Skip loves dad jokes.
Yes.
Yeah, well, good. I'm your girl. So I was born here, grew up surrounded by the music industry. The reason I was actually born here is, long story short, Burt Reynolds. My dad was a singer back in the 80s, and he sang at Burt Reynolds Dinner Theater in Jupiter, Florida. Wow. And he was in a production of The Music Man, and there were 3 other guys in that production that they were in the barbershop quartet together. And it was actually opening night. Burt came with Dolly Parton and went backstage and told those 4 guys that they needed to stay together for the rest of their lives. And he was going to call them the Indian River Boys, and they were going to make a record. And so, very long story short, my dad ended up becoming, pretty close friends with Burt, and is the reason why he ended up being in Nashville and why I was born here. And he did a lot of really cool stuff. He got to sing on Garth's No Fences album with his group, the Indian River Boys. And so there's just been, lots of stuff that I was really lucky to get to grow up around and be surrounded by music and songwriters, and just the whole energy of Nashville, was very normal to me. I didn't realize how unique that was. And so from a very young age, since before I can even remember, it's just, this is always what I was going to do. I've always sang since before I can remember. I started playing piano at 3. I would come home from church and just pick out the songs that we just sang. And so it was really just a very organic process of me getting into music and writing as well. I used to write short stories, and I thought, well, maybe I'll be a children's author someday or something, because I just loved creating characters and entertaining people through stories. And really, when I turned 16, it kind of was a light bulb moment. Taylor Swift had just started to take off really big, and I was like, wait a second. If I put everything that I love to do together, which is, piano, guitar, songwriting turned into, I guess, well, story writing turned into songwriting and singing. And so it was just kind of this light bulb moment where I was like, wait a second, I think that, like, this is what it is, ding, ding, ding. And so from that moment on, country singer was my forte.
You think, how did you pick the style of music? Because you're not, we hear a lot of country artists, we hear a lot of country songs. But this is more of, for example, with High Class White Trash, the style. How did you decide to go that route, and why?
Yeah, well, a lot of it has to do with, well, there's a couple different things. So to start off with, going back to my storytelling, I've always loved creating these characters and really making people laugh with them. I loved writing funny stories. And so that's kind of something that I've always been drawn to. But then fast forward to when I met my producer, Dave Brainerd, it was really kind of this very organic process that we started writing together. And we started noticing that all these characters kept coming up and recurring, and there was this certain theme that wanted to be talked about. And so Dave was actually the person who said, well, hey, what if we actually take these characters and we put them into this little imaginary world and we call it Jennyville? And it'll just be like a fun place for us to go and write, like, in our minds. And I was like, Jennyville, like, oh, is that presumptuous of me? I don't but it was just kind of a fun thing to imagine that that's where we were when we were writing, and that these characters actually lived in this place and we could write their stories however we wanted. And so throughout that process, we started, using Jennyville as normal everyday vocabulary. We would see somebody walking down the street, or we would hear a story, or whatever it may be, and we would be like, oh my gosh, that's so Jennyville. And so throughout the process of writing and starting to create this record, it was like, well, maybe this is something that I share with my fans and share with the outside world, this whole concept of Jennyville. And High Class White Trash was really kind of the song that opened the door to these certain characters, because there's a lot of ladies running around in Jennyville that have a lot to say and very strong opinions. So yeah, just kind of started very organically and almost accidentally turned into what it did. But I mean, I love to make people laugh. I always say that if you can make people laugh, then you can make them comfortable with you. And once they're comfortable with you, then you really have an open floor to talk to them and to communicate to them through other music as well.
And there's definitely not enough laughter in this world, so
exactly,
I'm all for it. That's awesome.
Bring it on.
Yeah. But no, go ahead. You had a question.
Nope. I'm just, I just didn't want to cut you off. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay, so I was kind of slowing down a little bit. But so I love watching the video for that. And the women, I think they're sitting on a couch and somebody's going through their purse. And where did you find the people to do that? Are they relatives? Are they friends? Or did you do it?
Yeah, they're all friends of mine. I've got really good friends that will do some weird stuff for me.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And they all know how to act. They did very well.
They did. Some of them are professional actresses. And some of them have never acted a day in their life. So it was a very, very big mixture of different levels of comfort, I guess, but they all did awesome. I mean, even There Goes the Neighborhood music video is it's another one of my favorites, with the characters, especially the role playing that's in that one. And those were all friends as well. So it's just, I've been very lucky with who I've been surrounded by.
Oh, that's great. And they have this great memory too of one of your friendship and watching you climb that ladder of success. They're with you through this whole process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you so let me ask you this. We always ask the artists, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now, how have you been with this pandemic thing? Has that helped you? Has it hurt you? I mean, we've had a lot of artists come on and say, you know what, there's a good and a bad to it. There's the good, being able to get things done, and then the bad, obviously you're not making the money.
Yeah, I would say That's probably true. You know, I think for everything, there's like we said earlier before we started, the growth in Nashville, it's a blessing and a curse. I think everything that's a big change always has good and bad to it. But I know personally for me, it was pretty hard in the beginning and throughout last year because I had just put out my debut album, and it really hadn't had its full life to live yet. And I know that so many other people went through the same thing too in different ways. But we had just come off this amazing debut. I mean, we debuted at number 25 on the Billboard Country Album Sales charts, and we're doing amazing shows. We got to open for Brantley Gilbert, and it was a minor league baseball stadium, so it was this huge show that I've never played that big of show before. We just had so many wonderful things happening, and it's funny too because we had like 7 different of those ones to watch lists in 2020, and so that's kind of a laughing joke now is that I was one to watch in 2020.
Like, yeah, you'll probably never live that down.
Yeah, right. So it's definitely been a challenge, career-wise, to keep that momentum going, because there's just no way in a pandemic that you can keep that level of excitement from touring and from the freshness of an album. You know, that doesn't last forever. So, but I mean, I think it's just like anything, nothing lasts forever, and so you always have to find new ways to make things exciting. And we're actually working on some secret ideas to make things exciting again. So be on the lookout.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just it's a whole new way of doing things. And
that's one of the things that was really great about the pandemic, or just I guess not about the pandemic, but just about being forced to find new ways. Was really like stuff like this, doing all of the virtual stuff and getting to be a lot more creative and almost being forced to be more creative to find new ways to interact with people and get that feedback from a live audience that you aren't getting during touring time, and still letting people know that you're here and finding different ways to entertain. And I know that for me, one of the things that I did was I started my own little cooking show. I called it The Quarantine Kitchen.
I saw that. When I first saw it, I thought, this is not the right person when I first saw it, because I just didn't relate that you were doing the cooking show because I was watching your videos at the same time. So it threw me for a loop. That's a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah, that was, and we're carrying it over into real life now too, post 2020. We've renamed it the Hey Good Cookin' Kitchen. So it's just fun. It's a fun way to, you're still being creative, because cooking and baking is also just another form of creativity and entertainment and showing love. So it's something that's been really fun and different too, because it's not just a normal cooking show. I actually make everything gluten, dairy, and egg free, because I am all of those things free.
Excellent.
And I was forced to do that over 10 years ago, go gluten free. And so I really had to learn when I was really young with my mom how to cook things that I could no longer have and bake things, because 10 years ago, gluten-free was not as trendy as it is now. Right. So I really fell in love with finding different ways to make the things that I could no longer have anymore. So now I'm just having fun sharing those with everyone else.
Well, now I know where to go when I need a dinner idea, that's for sure. Going right to your YouTube.
Yeah.
I love the idea, though. And how often is it like once a week, or how often do you do that?
Yeah, so we're actually figuring out the rebranding of it now that we're out of 2020 and into the new Hey Good Cookin' thing. So I'm thinking that we're going to do probably 2 a month.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's even 2 a month. Sometimes it could be, especially doing what you do.
Yeah.
Finding the
We're
time.
thinking we'll probably film 2 episodes in one day and then just space them out over the month so that we've got.
Do you sing at all? Do you play at all when you do that show?
Well, I haven't, but we're actually exploring some possibilities of that, and maybe even bringing on some other country artists as well. So yeah, the possibilities are kind of endless, and really there's no rules. So it can be whatever we want to make it.
I love talking about these ideas and, expanding your talents like that. And you think that, okay, you prepare the meal, you put it in the oven, and while it's cooking, you sing a song.
Yeah.
Or talk about yourself, play a little music and say, ding, oh, it's done. Now, you'd be like,
I did a live stream show through a company called Hello TV.
Okay.
And they did all of these live stream shows with different artists. But for mine, in the middle of the show, I baked brownies. So my band stayed up on the stage and they played some background music for me while I was mixing up the brownies and putting them in the oven. And it was definitely a little challenging, but it was a fun challenge.
Yeah, that makes it fun though. And it makes it memorable.
Exactly.
And as an artist, it's another way of getting your name out there too. People are going to look at it, they're going to feel good, they're going to laugh.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Cool.
Do you have a fan, Don? Or is that a friend of yours, Skip, Don?
No.
He really likes your cooking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Don loves your cooking.
Yeah, I think Don came over from my Facebook page. I was telling everybody over there to come hang out with us. So.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes. And of course, Deb with the Country Music Fan Club. It's always good to make those connections. And as we were talking before we turned the mics on, Deb, I was telling her that you also have a business in Nashville and some of the stuff that you do there. And Deb also has a son that lives there. So, and
nice.
We're all over the place over there, let me tell you. Well, we go there quite often. I absolutely love it there. So I'm there every chance I get. I'm going through withdrawals now, though, because I haven't been able to get over there as much this past year as we often like to.
I can't imagine why.
Have you been able?
If you're here, you'll have to let me know.
Oh, absolutely. Have you been able to perform at all? Because some artists have been able to do some small bits and pieces out there.
Yeah, I've been, I feel like probably one of the luckier artists with, I have had a handful of shows go through last year. And one of the most memorable ones was actually, I played in Las Vegas at a place called Stoney's, and it was a full band show. And there were people dancing. It was so much fun. But as soon as we landed in Las Vegas, I opened my phone and I had an email, and you know how you can only see the first line of the email, and it was from my agent, my booking agent. And he said, "I'm so sorry to hear about Vegas." And I was like, "Oh no, did our show get canceled and we just landed here?" But they were actually reverting back to their phase 1 at midnight that night. So we were allowed to play our show, which was at 10 o'clock. But at midnight, everybody had to leave, and it was back to phase 1. So that was definitely one of the most memorable ones, because it was this odd mixture of like excitement that we're getting to play, but then also at the same time, you're like, well, I guess at midnight, this like life is changing again really quickly, and all of a sudden, you're in a different reality. Just like that. So that was a different one. I've never experienced that, and I hopefully won't experience
Never will. Not again.
But yeah, we've had a couple smaller shows as well. I had a very intimate acoustic show in Jackson Hole, Wyoming at the end of October, and it was beautiful. It was just my producer, Dave Brainerd, and he plays with me a lot of the time because he's an amazing musician as well. And he actually was my sweetheart. And on that trip, we got engaged.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. So that one was probably the most memorable one of our pandemic shows.
So Jackson Hole, did you get to visit anywhere around Jackson Hole? Because my older daughter happens to be going there in a couple of weeks.
No way. Oh my gosh, she's going to love it.
She's so excited.
The prettiest place I've ever seen. So we actually, we were hiking at Jenny Lake, which is right at the base of the Grand Tetons. And that's where he proposed to me, at Jenny Lake. Go figure.
I'm writing that down.
Proposed at Jenny Lake. But yeah, so that is beautiful. I mean, there's hot springs that you can drive to. I think they're about 45 minutes away. But I mean, there's just everything around there is beautiful. Ooh, you know what? She should do an elk sleigh ride. You can do one of those.
I'm writing that down. I will tell her. She is just thrilled, and she loves the cold weather. So it's right up her alley.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right. When we're done later, I'll ask you a couple more questions.
I know. I'm like, what's
we have to get back to you and your music.
We're supposed to be talking about the music here.
Yes.
The excitement of the engagement. I am so happy for you. And
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yes.
Thank you. It's special to share your passion and your creativity and your career with somebody that you love.
Absolutely. And they get it. They get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Opposites. They understand where you're coming from when you're having a bad day because they know. They know.
Yep. And one of the really good things about the pandemic for Dave was that he actually was a lot busier than usual because so many artists started recording during the stay-at-home time because they couldn't perform. So a lot more projects were happening during this time too. So it was good that one of us was working.
Do you have a studio right in the house?
We do, yes.
Yes. I figure most artists do. And but do you feel? Would you rather? Excuse me. Would you rather record at home, or would you rather be in one of the big studios up on Music Row?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's probably a mixture of both. I think for the quick demos and stuff that we do pretty normally at our house. That's the comfortable place. You don't make a bunch of big fluff out of it and you just do your thing. But I think, if we're going to record an album, we don't have a studio that's big enough quite yet for a full band to be in. And so that's kind of the next step to make something as big as an album.
Does it sound as good though? I mean, for you doing your thing at home as it would in the studio? I mean,
oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, because it's all the same equipment. It's just different rooms.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the mix down of it all. That's all and how all that works. So.
Oh yeah, he's a magician.
It happened. You makes it sound good, even though you already sound great. But, that little touch on it, which I think is pretty cool. I've been in a couple of those studios up on Music Row, and it's just they always fascinate me because I'm such a geek, and I can just stare at that board and go, "Oh my God, this is it's just."
Skip likes it. He wants to touch all the buttons.
What's that, Jenny?
It looks like trying to fly a plane to me with all the buttons.
I'd love to fly a plane. So, but, we used to broadcast live from the CMA Awards many years ago, and we used to use one of the studios on Music Row where all the radio stations would be set up in there, and they bring the artists through room to room to room. I was just fascinated with those places.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Let's get back to your music, though. Tell us, what do you got coming up down the road? You got a single coming out, right? Or no?
Well, we put out a single probably a month or two ago now. It's called
I did do that then.
An invented T-shirt. So it's got a very interesting title, and it's a really fun song. Again, it's one that I hope people find humor in and makes them laugh, because it's really, I call it sticking a pin in their tension balloons, because as we all know, this last year was insanely stressful for everybody in every single way. And I think we take ourselves too seriously sometimes, and we forget that it's okay to laugh, that it's okay to joke around and have fun every now and then. We don't have to take everything so personally or take it to heart. And so this song is really kind of almost making fun of ourselves. I'm making fun of myself for, I know I go crazy sometimes too, and I want to post things that I know that I shouldn't. So it's kind of that whole thing of, we're all crazy. We're all going so crazy, especially being cooped up in our houses. And so it's just a little reminder to be like, hey, it's fine. We can disagree, and I still love you. We don't have to be like haters towards everyone. So it's supposed to be a cute little tension reliever, honestly.
Yeah. I did know that. Ann had mentioned it to me. That's who calls on me, that, party between putting your music out. And she did mention that to me, and I apologize. I do know about the song. Now I feel like, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, she had the single. That's right. But no, I do recall that. So. And Ann's going to yell at me tomorrow going,
"You're fired."
I don't want to talk to you anymore. No, I love her. You've got a great team behind.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I absolutely do. I'm very grateful. Very, very grateful for the people around me.
It's a team. It does.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The village around you is one of the most important things, that you can surround yourself with good people, then you're probably going to have at least a good time and you'll be safe. And
It is amazing. What's that?
Ain't no weirdos coming around.
Oh, no. No. But it does always amaze us what an entity it takes for one artist's career.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, I can't even imagine if, I don't know if it's when you have a whole band. I mean, now you're dealing with several different, if it's, the band, like you have your band. Oh, we just lost Skip. Hopefully he'll be back. He'll be back. But when you have a band, do you have a band that you travel with, or do you?
I do.
And do they all live there in Nashville?
Yes. Yeah.
Have they been with you since day one?
Most of them, yes. Yeah, and that's another thing. I've been really lucky with my band. They're so talented and so loyal too. It takes a long time and it's a lot of work and a lot of shows that don't pan out so well that it takes to get to where we're going. And they've all stuck it out with me, and we've had some really, really amazing times, and it's only going to get better from here.
I always wonder about that, the band as they come together for an artist. I know we've heard, and maybe, I'm not sure in your case, were they friends of yours that maybe you grew up with in this business, or does a manager just put them together for you? How does that even?
Yeah, so none of them I grew up with. All of them actually moved to Nashville to be musicians. But it was actually Dave, so my producer, since he is constantly working with different musicians in the studio, he knows the pretty good handful of the ones that are in town. And so he's actually the one that has connected me with most of them. Yeah.
So you got the best of the best, actually.
Yeah, we call him Dave because he's just good at everything, and he handles a lot of stuff. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's great though. And how did you and Dave meet? Just through the business?
Yeah, so we met. I was performing at a songwriter round, and he happened to be there because his old studio was above this bar that I was playing, and so he had gone down to the bar for a drink, and I just happened to be playing there. And he came up to me after the show and expressed how he was a fan of my voice and would love to get together to write. And so really we started just writing together, and no romance at all going on until about a year after we were working together. And,
really?
And then you couldn't hide it anymore. So it was like, well, I guess we're going down this road. Whatever it takes.
That was it hard to change over from friendship business to relationship?
I don't think so. I think for anybody who mixes, as they like to say, business with pleasure, there can always be moments that are difficult to navigate. Which hat do we have on right now?
Yeah.
But I think for the most part we've been lucky because music.
Hello.
Hey, you're back. We missed you. Oh, can you hear us? Okay. Can you hear us, Skip? I'm not sure.
I guess this really is the Skip HappEns podcast.
Oh, there's Jenny.
Hello.
So I don't know what happened.
I don't know either.
That was weird. We're not on live, but we'll go back in a minute.
Okay.
Just see if Deb comes back. That was definitely strange.
Yeah, really weird.
It's like everybody just went. Boop.
Well, we were on there. The two of us have been talking for.
Really?
Since you've been gone, yeah.
Okay, and did she log off, or do you know?
I don't think so. You came back, and then I don't think you could hear us, and then here I am.
So all right, so We are actually streaming right now. We are back on that quick. It went on by itself. So we are live. So I don't know what happened to Deb. Maybe Deb's going to come back here in a moment. But I don't know, because that was kind of weird. It's like somebody flipped a switch on me.
Yeah, what's going on?
Weird things going on in the world.
What's the moon tonight?
That's a good question. I don't know. Have no idea. Tell me a little bit more about what's going on down the road. So you just put out the single. You put out an album just before the pandemic hit, which who would have known? But what's happening down the road?
We're gonna be soon. I can't tell you all the details, but we will be putting out a pretty cool way to honor that album that didn't get its full life. With some new music as well. And so this year is kind of just working on building that new music and getting it recorded so that hopefully we'll have a whole new album for you by early of next year.
Oh my goodness.
We do have lots of stuff coming for this year as well that will have new music in it as well. That's big enough and not big enough at the same time.
You got new music coming out. I get it. And I love it. And I can't wait to hear the new album. Have you had a chance to play some of the bigger venues in Nashville?
Well, it depends. What do you mean by a bigger venue?
Well, I mean, have you been? All right. Well, I shouldn't really call it. Have you been on the Ryman stage?
I haven't yet, but the Opry is definitely on my goals list. Very big goals list, especially being from here. That's such a sacred place and such a special place that I used to go to growing up, and I've gotten to go backstage many times throughout my dad's career with him having artists there and just different things. So so that's one of my big goals for sure. But yeah, so we're working on it.
Hi, Deb. Welcome back.
Thanks. I wasn't sure if you could hear or see me, so I was just kind of waiting.
I didn't hear anything. It was like, boop, there's Deb. I mean, boop, Deb's gone.
Well,
Jenny's gone. I'm like, what's going on? But anyways, we got you back. This is what we're dealing with a lot of the stuff that's been going on, and the new way of doing things, and we all learn as we go. So, but I was reading some of your bio. Dolly Parton, which you mentioned earlier. Have you had a chance to meet her? Talk to her?
I have not yet, but my bass player Amanda, she's my band leader. She's one of my best friends. She's actually going to be a bridesmaid at my wedding. But she got to play with an artist, Candy Carpenter, who got to play at Dolly's. I think it was her 50th Opry anniversary of her being in the Opry. I think it was 50. Don't quote me on that. But she got to play at that show, and so Amanda actually got to meet Dolly, and she was like, oh my gosh, she just doesn't even seem real. She's like a real life angel. She just kind of floats and sparkles everywhere. So
awesome.
So I feel like an extension of me has gotten to meet her through one of my best friends. And my dad's gotten to meet her. So.
Yeah, there you go.
My time will come.
I'm sure it will. Also, I was reading, was it Roger Miller? Or yes, because we talked to Dean Miller. We're pretty good friends with Dean.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I love Roger Miller. I mean, that all goes back to my love of storytelling and humor. Because, I feel like Roger and Dolly and Bobby Bear is another one of my favorites. Because I love Shel Silverstein was one of my favorite writers of all time. And I feel like they all had a way to, either take a serious subject matter and inject humor into it so that it was easier to digest for a large audience, but still it had this really important message at the end of it. I feel like they all figured out ways to do that. And that's, to me, one of the hardest things to do when you're writing humor is to still have it be poignant and not just be funny for the sake of just being funny, because I always want to have a why to why I'm doing something. And one of the Roger Miller songs that I like to reference is "You Can't Roller Skate in a Buffalo Herd." And so this whole song is saying that. It's saying these bizarre statements that you can't do, and you're like, what is this dude talking about? Like, this is crazy. But at the end of the verse in the chorus, it says, but you can be happy if you've a mind to. And so it's telling you all of these crazy things that seem impossible. And sometimes being happy seems impossible, but at the end of the day, it's really just a choice. And so I just think that that's so brilliant. Even it's so weird, but it's so brilliant at the same time. So I really love to study things like that.
Very cool.
That is very nice.
You get a chance to, I'm sorry, Deb.
No, go ahead. I'll spin off you.
We get that little bit of a delay, so
we do.
Yeah. Do you get a chance to play down on Broadway at all? Do you go down there at all? Do you get to play down there, or would you rather kind of stay away from that area?
I played down there a handful of times when I was first getting started. Personally for me, I'm not a huge fan of playing on Broadway because it is a lot of cover songs and
right
and lots of drunk people. So it's not for the faint of heart. I have so many friends who do it every single night, and for 4 to 7 hours, it's insane. And it's, you've got to be a soldier to do those gigs. But they can also be a lot of fun too. So I'm not putting them down at all. It's just not necessarily.
No, I get it.
Not necessarily my preference, because I love to do my own music, perform my own songs, and kind of build my show from there. But it never hurts to build your character up because those gigs will do it.
Those will. Do you hit up on a lot of writers' rounds where you can perform your own songs?
Yeah. I especially did a lot of writers' rounds when I was first starting out as well. I don't play as much writers' rounds anymore because I'm doing a lot more touring, not last year, but
right.
A lot more full band shows just around the country in general. So in a normal year, I'm not home for longer than, if I'm home for 4 weeks, then that's weird to me. So it's,
wow.
I like to travel. I like getting out of town and being different places and meeting new people and performing for new people. Because I feel like that's why we do this in the first place. I'm not doing this to sing just for myself, to be like, hey, look at me, I can sing. No, I actually want to interact with people and like I'm saying, make people laugh, bring them joy. That's what music is supposed to do. So I'm just touring. I can't wait for that to come back.
It'll be back soon. What instruments do you play? You mentioned the piano before, but you actually pick up a guitar. What else?
Yeah, so piano, guitar, and I actually play the flute. I was first chair flautist in my high school concert band. So yeah, I was never. I always say I was never cool enough to be in the marching band. which most people might say is backwards, but no, I was just a lazy one that just wanted to sit there, so I was in concert band.
I did marching band. I know where you're coming from. I used to play the trumpet, and back in my high school days.
Hard work.
Yeah, I was like second trumpet. So, but
my friends that were in marching band, oh my gosh, they got their workouts in.
Oh yeah. It wasn't the field band; it was the marching band, and we also had a jazz band. We had just a regular, I don't know what you would call it, band, but they're all different things that we did. It was kind of crazy, but yeah.
That's awesome.
I didn't do any of that.
No?
I started out playing the flute.
Oh, nice.
And it only lasted a little while because I was very much into horseback riding and skiing. So those took over my time.
Ooh, well,
I wish I'd have stuck with it.
Horses and skiing are great for Jackson Hole. Just a side note.
Oh, I'm already jealous where I want to go with her.
Yeah.
She's talked so much about it already, so it's on our bucket list now. So I'll mention that too.
It's very exciting. I see my son chimed in here. He goes, "Dad, hello, Dad. Mess, stop it."
Oh, did I?
Which that's when we went off. That's Zachary. That's my.
I think I lost you guys for a second. I'm back though.
No, we didn't lose you. Not that I'm aware of. But anyways, I was saying how my son is like making fun of me because we went off the air for a little bit, or I did, or somebody did, or something happened. My son is Down syndrome, and he is 20 years old, and he just loves the podcast thing. He loves seeing the artist and watching and listening, and he's on top of everything. He's our gift. But
awesome. Well, hi, Zachary.
Yeah, we do a thing called Zach Attack with Dad. We do our own little podcast thing. So if you want to smile sometime, or if you're feeling down, just go to the YouTube page for Skip Happens and check out a Zach Attack with Dad. You'll laugh.
Awesome. I'm going to look that up. That's great.
They have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Tell Deb and I a little bit about your band. How many people in the band? I know you mentioned your bass player, and she's obviously got a female. I love it when the women are in the band. It's so good to see that. Tell us a little bit about your band.
She's awesome because she has hair down almost to her ankles. So she's a whole vibe on the stage. She's our little Crystal Gale. But so I've got normally a 5-piece band that travels with me for full band shows. So my drummer, his name's Brandon Barnes. We call him, so if you're in my band, then you have your own character in Jennyville. So he is the bartender of Jennyville. Because in real life, he really does love to create cocktails. But so here's another really bad dad joke for you. I say, he's serving up the beats. So he's the bartender.
There you go.
So there's our drummer. And then Amanda, I always say she's a little bit of Bert and Dolly combined, because she is the Madam / Sheriff of Jennyville. She's always wearing these flowing kimonos and loves like capes and stuff like that. So she's very like I said, she's a vibe. So she's got her own thing there, and she owns the Tulip Saloon in Jennyville. So there's a lot that, I could go into this really deeply, but I'll move on to Dave, my fiance and producer. He plays acoustic in the band. He plays all the cool, intricate parts that I can't play because I'm a beat keeper with my guitar. But we call him the Wizard of Jennyville because he, like I said, he's Swiss Army Dave. He can do anything. Yeah. So he's the Wizard of Jennyville. My electric guitar player, his name's Storm Rhodes, and we call him the Cowboy of Jennyville. And I say that he's busy all day saving ladies off the railroad tracks. He wears his cowboy hat every time I see him, so he's our personal cowboy. And then
Love it.
My fiddle player, Kyle Pudens, he looks really sweet and innocent, but do not be fooled because he is the milkman of Jennyville.
I envision
this. A lot going on.
I envision a series being built around.
Yeah.
I really do.
Would love to make it into a musical someday. I think
that would be great. That would be great. I totally can envision that just from this description you've given in the last minute.
I know. And I haven't looked at the website at all, but do you have merch that has Jennyville on it?
I do. So I've got High Class White Trash t-shirts. I've got There Goes the Neighborhood t-shirts, which is the artwork of the album, which is one of the scenes from Jennyville. It's got the boys down at Tuffy's on the front cover working on a car, because we have Tuffy's is the auto repair shop in Jennyville. So there's if you listen to the album, you'll be able to catch lots of different Easter eggs that you can kind of be like, oh, wait a second, that was said over here, and that's what that meant. And so if you really pay attention, there's lots of fun things that I always say just for my extra nerdy people that love that type of stuff, because I'm extra nerdy and I love that type of stuff. You can find it in there. But if you want to just listen to music, you can also do that too and not care about any of that stuff.
Absolutely love it. It's been a pleasure chatting with you here tonight. And I do apologize for going on and off. I don't know what the deal was. I think it could just be a fluke. Who knows? Something.
Well, we are getting lake effect snow tonight, so it could be a weather thing. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of lake effect snow?
No, I was about to ask, what is that?
It's a lot of snow.
I was like, oh yes, I know exactly what that is.
Where we are located, we are in Syracuse, New York, and we are just southeast of the Great Lake, Lake Ontario.
Okay.
And when the winds blow out of the northwest and the lake's not frozen and the wind is very cold, I sound like a meteorologist now, but I'm not. It sucks up the moisture from the lake. When it hits land, it drops. And of course, it drops as snow. So we could get a foot of snow in a matter of a few hours, easy.
Oh, wow.
All right, but for us, we have the equipment that can take care of it on the roads. We're in great shape. We still go to work when we have a foot of snow.
Oh yeah.
In Nashville, you get a dusting, the place shuts down. I get
it. Foot of snow wouldn't fly here. I would love to have a foot of snow, but I don't think it'll ever happen here.
At this point in time, it's after Christmas. I don't want snow. That's the way I look at it.
We've had such a good winter, though. We really can't complain at all.
No.
It's been very mild. We had a phenomenal summer. It was absolutely gorgeous, and now we're having a very mild winter. So we're going to get one doozy, I'm sure. But
something good to work with last year.
We are at least 3 feet below normal.
Yeah.
And but do you realize? I mean, we're talking about this year, and it's been a great winter. But whether you're there or here, 2020 was a year where obviously we had to shut down, but all the big holidays either fell down or all these big holidays around the weekends and stuff where you could go out and have a good time, wouldn't have to worry about, but everything ended up closing. This was the one year where all those days fell on a Friday or a Saturday.
Why does that not surprise me?
Exactly. And your album was coming out. And you know what I'm saying? All that had to happen.
Oh, it just had to. It just couldn't wait any longer.
Yeah. And the other thing, and Deb knows about this as well, with lake effect snow that we get here, it all depends on the winds. As I mentioned, it could be snowing like crazy in one part of town. You could be getting dumped on, zero visibility, all that. You drive a mile down the road and you'd be able to see the stars or the sun, depending on
if you can drive through the whiteout to get to the other side.
Wow.
It's very scary driving through a whiteout. Very, very scary. It's very freaky.
It's crazy.
So
but that's what we
conversation. I know.
Have you ever been to the Northeast, Jenny?
Yeah, I have. My dad is actually from Massachusetts. So
very nice.
I've got family that still lives up there. So, and I actually went to a music camp every summer in Maine. So yeah, I've spent a lot of time in the Northeast.
Yeah, I was going to ask before we did let you go about your background when it came to voice and all that. You said now you mentioned music camp. I mean, have you been voice trained? Did you do all that?
I really didn't until I decided that this was what I was going to do. And really it was, I go to a woman, her name is Judy Rodman. She's here in Nashville, and she was actually a country artist. She won the New Female Vocalist of the Year in 1985 at the ACM Awards. So she's phenomenal, but she really, brought my voice out of me because I was such a shy person. I was such a quiet, I didn't know how to project.
I can't see that.
I know, right? I'm a totally different person. And honestly, a lot of her techniques have really helped me. It goes way beyond vocal stuff because it's really just about presentation and about, the confidence and different ways of thinking of things or thinking about things and projecting. And so, yeah, she's been a huge blessing in my career and my story. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, you got a great future ahead of you.
Thank you.
We love your music. I've been listening to it all day, and just your style. I love your style. It's you. It's different, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
Very uplifting.
Thanks.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Why are we here if we're not going to have fun?
Exactly. Now, if we've got somebody watching, how can they get a hold of your music? Can any of the
Yeah, so my music is on all of the streaming platforms, downloading platforms. You can go to jennytolman.com and purchase a hard copy. I've got vinyls as well as CDs, so you've got every option under the sun.
I love it. It's all right there. And the merchandise, because please, the consideration that these artists, the ones that we chat with here on Skip Happens, and many other people have an opportunity to chat with them as well. They haven't been able to work like they normally do. So jump on their website and take advantage of getting some merchandise. And every little bit helps. And, down the road, of course, they hope to get back out there. And I'm sure they'll give us some great music in return. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Deb, you got any questions or no tonight?
always have questions.
Okay. Before we let go, we usually throw a couple of quick questions, and
All right.
just
let's hear it.
Go for it.
Fun questions. They're not real intense. Let's see. Who's the best cartoon character of all time?
Ooh.
Now, for us, I know we've had a lot of choices for cartoon characters. You're way younger than us, so I don't know how many choices you've had.
Let's see. I would probably say Ariel from The Little Mermaid. I always wanted to be her growing up.
Yeah.
I know that it's fake and that it doesn't work that way, but I always, when I would go in the pool, I would try to make my hair swish like hers.
Well, at least you can. You have that long, beautiful hair.
Working on it.
A lot of maintenance to take care of the long hair.
A lot of what?
Maintenance.
It is. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging.
Not that I would know. I'm just.
No. Well, since we're on this topic of the character and Ariel, and I'm thinking princesses and Disney and all this other stuff, what would be the coolest magical power to have? So of course I think of all these princesses and I think of all these Disney movies. I'm like, gee, what would I really want to have?
Now that we're talking about how long it takes to do hair, if I could like snap and have my makeup done instantly, that would be awesome.
I think I'm with you 100%. Is that for me? And like going grocery shopping. I can have magical power. Have everything picked out, carted, bagged, and ready to rock. I'd be really happy.
You can order it Instacart and just have it delivered.
Oh yeah, I know they can do that now. I forget. I don't know if I trust that system yet, though. I'm just not there.
Yeah,
I know. I'm so.
Got one more.
I have one more. Let's see. Whose voice would I least want on my GPS?
Ooh.
You ever have like someone's voice?
Oh man, I don't want to be mean to someone. Let's see. Well, okay, now that I'm thinking of The Little Mermaid, probably Ursula.
Ursula. There you go.
She's not real, so I can make fun of her.
You can say that one. I know.
Nice.
I know.
Love it.
So, yeah, just some fun things to learn about our artists.
Jenny Tolman, you are awesome. Again, apologize about the technical difficulty there. I have no idea what happened, but skip happens. So
that's what we were saying, right?
Yep. Exactly. You never know. It does happen. But we thank you for taking the time to join Deb and I here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And I know you were sharing this on your Facebook, I believe, and make sure your people, you can share this video. It'll be up on YouTube. Subscribe to Skip Happens. Make sure you check out the official Country Music Fan Club in their Facebook page as well and become a friend. As I mentioned, maybe I didn't mention it, but Deb does a lot of work in Nashville, and sometimes they're looking to do different things with different people. And if you stay in touch with the official Country Music Fan Club, you could be selected to maybe go to a show or something along those lines, which is pretty cool. So
all sorts of exciting things coming down in 2021.
Yes. Positive. Jenny, you're awesome. If you can hang on there just a little bit after we sign off, and make sure you check her out online, Jenny Tolman, get the music, get some merch, and watch for her name. It's going to become a household name, I'm sure. Nothing happens overnight. It's one fan at a time, and she's got it going. So she's very beautiful. It just makes it all work. Put it all together. All right. Thank you, Jenny. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
everyone.
Awesome.